welcome back to Fire Your Boss Fridays. I am your host, and also my host Lisa is with us today. We are doing a really cool episode today that I think is just going to be fire. We've been talking about doing this for a really long time. And what the topic is and what you guys can expect moving forward is, as you can see my shirt I'm wearing, we had these really cool shirts made for us. I am 100% all in. So I'm the all in guy, and I'm representing all the things that in entrepreneur world are based around. Everyone's always telling you, you got to go all in, that kind of thing. And Lisa, which you hear this too all over the internet, people, is the side hustle. So show them your shirt, Lisa. I don't know if you can see it there, but anyway, she's team side hustle. So pick your teams, guys, know who you are. And we're going to find out, maybe if you don't know who you are, we're going to help you identify it in today's episode. And that's the whole point of it, is like, whatever it is you're doing that maybe you maybe don't want to quit your full-time job right away and take that leap. Everybody wants to, right? In your mind, you're like, yeah, I just want to quit doing this and do that. But maybe side hustle is a better fit for you, but we're going to go into that in depth. But before we dive into the episode, we have to always remind ourselves of our rebel yell here: steal your life back, fire your boss, and live a life full of purpose. Whether you go all in or do it as a side hustle, the whole point is to get there. It's not just a catchphrase, a manifesto for change, really a battle cry or a beacon for all you entrepreneurs out there, or soon to be, or aspiring entrepreneurs that are daring to chase your dreams and disrupt the norm, right? Whatever you got going on, if you're listening today, you know that you're trying to escape, right? Escape the matrix or whatever you want to call it. And that's the whole point, is steal your life back. With the help of Lisa today, we've put together a couple of things that we think they're going to really help you guys figure out if you should go team side hustle or team all in. All right, Lisa, did you want to open this, Lisa, or should I just fire away?
Fire away.
Fire away. She lets me do a lot of the talking. I think that's why you married me, in fact. So anyway, so we're going to go over some engaging topics between the two of us. It's going to be risk versus stability, right? Isn't that essentially side hustle and 100% all in? I'm essentially kind of risky, and you're kind of safe, right? You're stability. Is that what we're representing here? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So
yeah, play it safe.
Which is a good dynamic for us, right? This is our true characters in our business, isn't it, babe? Like how we do business. This is, you're looking at it. And that's why we decided to embrace it for fun here today with you guys, is because this is our conversation, our dialogue anyway, right? And so maybe you have that dialogue. You don't always have to align on everything. And sometimes the pros and cons get you through tough times. There's times where you need to push in the boundaries and the risk, but there's also times you need to consider stability. So team 100% all in. We're going to discuss the importance of taking calculated risks. That's what I want to go over. The potential rewards of that, the freedom that comes from being fully committed and to that desired outcome, fully committed. And then the team side hustle, Lisa's going to emphasize the value of having a stable income while pursuing a passion, reducing any of your financial stress, really is the whole point of that, and allowing for more measured approach. Like you're just going to get incremental, and then you're going to make the transition. It's going to be nice, and nobody will probably even notice it happen except for your, obviously you're making more money. That's the whole point of this. So, and then we're going to go over time management and productivity. Let's go into that in a second, but let's go over the risk and stability real quick, Lisa. Why do you think side hustle makes people feel so safe? And why do you think people choose it? Maybe because we already know why it makes you feel safe, or why is that a good idea for entrepreneurs? What's your feedback on that?
I can speak from experience. So I've kind of, in a sense, done both, I guess. So with my ex-husband, it was definitely, he was all in, and I went through that. And then when I started my own business on my complete own, I was definitely team side hustle. And so I think, people have to they have to have that security. And that's me. Like if I don't feel that security, all in's not going to work because, you want to make sure that your bills are being paid and all of that kind of stuff, right? So like if there's any doubt as to how you're going to pay the mortgage next month or, your bills, like your car payment, how are you going to focus on starting a business? I just think it's important to, maintain your sanity, that you have that security. And then also there's the whole aspect of like, validating what you're doing. If you go all in and let's say the idea doesn't work, and then, 2 to 3 months in, you're like, oh shit, like
the oh shit moment, right?
This isn't going to work out versus right? Like the side hustle. It's like you kind of, you go in slowly and test the market and, see if the idea is going to even work out. And then, eventually you can build up to where your income's replaced and then, ditch your 9 to 5 or whatever it may be that you're doing.
Right. Well, my argument to this, Lise, and thank you for sharing, because I know with bookkeepers, Utah bookkeepers, that is exactly what you did. And that's all over the website, and you've been telling that story forever. Is that you went from
Hmm.
divorced? It was a very successful business venture with your ex that you guys had done, and then you came back to nothing. So you were basically a server, and then you went from a server to starting your business as a side hustle, then back onto entrepreneurship again. So you didn't. It didn't take you long to transition, but you definitely went side hustle. Yeah, and so that's your real life story. And so for me, my argument is this: is I've taken big risks and went all in before, and it's stressful. There is no question that that's exactly what Lisa's avoiding. But for me, I over time, because I'm this risky kind of, I like to just go in and get it done. I actually developed a little strategy, and Lisa's helped me with this too. And we did this together, but it was more me kind of having to do this, which was, remember when we decided we had to, instead of just side hustling and keeping our current lifestyle, we decided, how about we mix it a little bit? Remember? And I'm like, well, let's just sell off a lot of our things that aren't like, that create debt that is really not aligning with our goal anyway, right? And then it reduced the time frame that you need to side hustle, and that was sort of an all-in thing, because you're like, well, I'm going to give up everything that doesn't align with it. That's sort of an all-in thing. You're like, well, you're getting rid of a car, you maybe downsize your house, you might do something pretty extreme to reduce the time frame that you have to side hustle, right? And so
Right.
there's an element of that too. That's kind of a mix of both, and that was what we developed between our two. So even though you can go all in or you can go side hustle, there can be a balance between those two as well, which is what we did. And that's a big part of the principles that we teach in the Steal Your Life Back. That's part of it, is like, get to where you're like this, really lightweight version of yourself, so that you can go be an entrepreneur, right? You don't have excess bills. You're very efficient in what you do. So I've grown to be that person from the full 100% all in guy. And I think that's my version of all in these days, is like, just if you're going to go in all in, make sure you're ready to go all in. And that's what I mean by it, is be an efficient person before you go all in. So there's steps to going to the all in position. And side hustle is sort of like, I could start tomorrow side hustle. But with all in, I think it's this process of like eliminating debt and things that consume your time and all those types of things until you're ready to go all in, and then you make that transition. So I guess that's kind of a side hustle. I don't know. My side hustle is to get rid of my bills and get a budget, in whatever way that I can. Okay, cool. So time management. Let's go into this one, and productivity. So I'm team 100%. So I'm going to share strategies for managing time when it revolves around this desired outcome. So time is a big thing, and then Lisa is going to cover balancing that job and the side hustle to maximize productivity. With you have limited hours now, right? Because this is time. We have to make good use of our time. So we're going to go into this a little bit, and I'm going to set the stage for Lisa. When we're talking about time in the side hustle, normally this time is devoted to something else. So you have to actually make some sacrifice to get your side hustle going, right? Walk me through maybe what you did, or that what you see other people do, or what you think some advice you could give our listeners in that regard, as far as like what you're sacrificing to create that time so that you can side hustle it.
Well, I think you have to look at, where are you
Yeah.
spending your extra time outside of your job? So, are you watching Netflix at night? Are you scrolling on the internet? You know, find those things that you're spending some extra time on. And I would say pretty much everyone has that, right? So identify what
Mm-hmm.
that is for you and, then switch. You need to devote that time to the new side hustle. Also
Mm-hmm.
making things a priority, like the side hustle is what I'm talking about. So if you choose to start a side hustle, that's got to be like more important than your job. So if you work a 9 to 5, you need to wake up earlier potentially, and work an
Mm.
hour on the new project and prioritize that before the job. Or chances are by the end of the day, you get done at 5 and you get home and, you eat and you do just want to lay around and do Netflix. So, it's all about, you know, prioritizing. And if it's something you really want, like make those sacrifices and make the change.
Right. Because we call those like in the Steal Your Life Back principles that we go over, and we call them liabilities and assets, right? It's how do we describe a liability versus an asset, like in that perspective, right? If you have your goal, which is your side hustle business, and for the example, it was bookkeeping for you, you had to basically say what's an asset and a liability. Is watching TV right now an asset to that goal? No, it's not, right? And then like the liability would be, right, I'm watching TV, I need to get rid of that, right?
Hmm.
For me, being all in, it's actually exactly the same. Even though I'm going all in, I need to create time. The same thing, I have to create my non-negotiables, and then I have to like stick to the plan, because there's so much risk on the plate. You don't have anything to fall back on, so you need to hyper focus on what you're sacrificing and not sacrificing. So it's a much larger level of sacrifice up front, because you're leveraging it maximum. Like you're gonna get there faster. So that's the trade-off, is you're saying, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff in my space that's a liability. It's not serving that goal. And then I'm going to go ahead and introduce things that do get me to that thing. Even if you're 2 hours a day, people, that adds up. Okay. You're 2 hours closer to your thing. Okay. It does take time, no matter how smart you are, how much money you have. Money doesn't buy time generally in this sense, like that we're talking about. It can, and you do get to that. So the idea is, say you're getting rid of everything that's a liability, and someday you might get those things back, right? Like right now, you're side by side or something that's extracurricular that takes up time. You might have to get rid of that now to achieve the goal quicker, right? But the idea is you're going to get over that ledge, then you're going to be running your business, and then ultimately you'll be able to get the next best version of this thing, if not more, and you'll have more time on your hands. So that's the whole point, is you're letting it go for the bigger thing. So it's this in time management, it's similar, but the stakes are much higher with all in. So you have to make some major sacrifices. You don't always have to take drastic steps with side hustle. It's a more laxed, like if you did watch Netflix one night, okay, so I watch Netflix, I can still pay my bills. But all in, you watch Netflix, no, you might be living on the street, MRFer, this
Right.
might be over for you. So it depends what character you want. But I will get there faster, right? My results will definitely come faster. And that's the whole point of it. So cool. So time management and productivity, I think we covered that pretty good. Now, remember, we're just sharing this with you guys. Thanks for listening, by the way, and always being with us every week on Fridays, Fire Your Boss Fridays. But we're sharing this because you maybe don't know if you should side hustle it or go all in, or what it takes, or maybe people who haven't done it. You guys are people who haven't done it before. We're kind of showing you through us how we looked at it and how we did it, and then giving you these tips and tricks that have helped us already. So we live this lifestyle. This isn't something we made up and we're just like dropping it on you guys. Lisa and I, everything that we've been doing the last 10, 15 years has been this is what we're all about, and we love sharing it with you guys. So all right, let's talk about this one, Lisa. Financial investment and the returns on that, right? So today I'm going to discuss the potential for higher returns and faster growth. I did touch on this again, but we're going to go into it a little bit more, and what one can invest more capital in, how we can invest more capital or time, or how capital plays a role in the all-in version of in what we call opportunity costs, and I'll go into that as well. And then team side hustle, Lisa is going to go over, highlight the advantage of having a steady income to fund the side hustle as well, right? So you're funding that side hustle without any external pressure, right? The clarity of mind, no stress. Now, and you're allowing the organic growth to happen. And Lee, so what is the advantage from your perspective of funding the project or the side hustle from not from a loan or any capital, right? You're just funding your side hustle. Tell us the advantages of that you found. Remember, you said this to me before. You said, well, I don't like building businesses with debt. If the business cannot fund itself, it's not a business worth doing. I remember, because I've had ideas before and you're like, okay, we'll go for it, but you can't take capital from our savings account, right? You have to do proof of concept, and then we'll fund it, right? It has to fund itself. So have you changed your views on that?
I mean, not totally, no, I guess. I mean, I'm all about the bootstrapping, I guess.
Right. So tap into that. The bootstrapping part of that is, like, I call it sweat equity, right? But the technical term is like bootstrapping.
Well, I think just safety and security mostly. It's hard for me, like, as a, kind of like with this new venture, like we've obviously paid people to help us out, and, some have worked
That's
out and some
backfired.
haven't. And
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
it's just more risky. And so for me, it's like if I end up paying someone to do something and then, they screw it up or it's not what I wanted, I feel I'm just annoyed. So it gets to the point where I'm like, I should have just done it myself.
Hmm. The sweat equity part of it, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. But there's a trade-off for sure, but that's your perspective right there on in your version. So, and but then it takes more time, right? Because you
Right.
need to do that thing, and so now it stretches out the timeline, right? So, which is fine, but it's again the safer route. And so with me, and you know this, I've come to you with this before on our house flips. Is where it really started developing, because during our house flips, I'll give you guys an example. Is if I stayed on the job, right, and worked, I'm not only giving up how I could make money elsewhere, right, but it takes me longer to do the project than it does a 2 or 3 crews to do the project, and we're paying, sometimes out the rear on private money on these flips. And so we did the math a few times where we're like, okay, well, if I'm not there and I'm off just doing construction jobs elsewhere, I'm bringing income in. And then we did the math and we figured out, well, between how quickly we can get it done and saving on the hard money costs, it almost pencils off across the same, that it takes us more time, costs us more. We do it faster, the whole process. And so I call that opportunity cost. You have to understand those in everything that you do. So including what she just described, right? You might be, oh, I'm going to do it on my own, but now it might take you a year that I could hire people to get it done in like 2 or 3 months, and in 2 or 3 months I'm getting income, and that income will offset what I've spent on those people, right? And then I'm already bringing money in while she's still just doing it on her own, right? Or even
Yeah, but
us,
what if
like
you
if I
hired
was
the
doing.
wrong people to do it and
That's the kicker. Yep. That is the kicker. Yep. Which is what happens. But in the perfect world, to describe how you address that and why people do pay to have things done faster, is because you're trying to get the income coming in, and the income's supposed to, if you do your math right, it should offset, the expense, right? And maybe it will cover a few mistakes, I don't know, but we're just kind of explaining this for you guys, and we've been down all these roads, both of them. We've went do it on your own, we've paid people, we've went all, and we still to this day, there's no one way that we do it, but we definitely consider both in each occasion, right? At least we're like, okay, so we hire out for this,
Mhm.
should we do, and so that's an everlasting thing, and Lisa and I are not capable of everything. There are things we cannot do,
I mean, speak
right?
for yourself, but
Oh my God, wifey, you're so much trouble. Don't believe a word she says. Yeah. Anyway, all right, I'll let her have it. She's too cute. Look at her over there, little team side hustle. All right, let's move on. So this is the fun part. I know we went over all the logical things, which is Lisa's specialty, but let's go into the emotional and mental well-being of these two topics in building your business, right? So I'm going to talk about emotional roller coaster of being all in. And Lisa, if you could share with us the challenges of juggling these responsibilities, that can be stressful too. You're not immune to stress just because you're doing a side hustle, although that's the whole premise of it, right? So how can it also be stressful? I'm just saying that all in is going to be stressful because you've put all your chips on the table. A side hustle too, I mean, you're working pretty hard too, right? There's safety involved, but there's still emotional anguish because you're still sacrificing that time.
yeah, well, I mean, you're spending extra time, so your leisure time is now, all
Mm-hmm.
business. So,
Well, and Joe Rogan said it best. He has a video where one of his comments in one of his shorts is it's specifically saying, if you want to escape the 9 to 5, you have got to start your side hustle today, and you got to put all in and go for it. But he said all into your side hustle, and what he means is like you do your thing that you have to do, and then you do everything you have to do to make it happen after that. Like it's a little bit of a merge of the two topics we're going into today. We got just a couple more things we want to cover before we're going to be over and out on you guys, but let's see here, Lise. I think
well, I think speaking on
the
the
long-term vision
back
of.
to the emotional part too, though, I think it's also important that we put out there. So no matter which way you go, but it's very important that you take care of yourself and that you're, also prioritizing that as well.
Your health is what you're referring to, right? Like, don't sacrifice your health because that's top of the hierarchy when it
Right.
comes to anything. You don't want to get there and be sick and yeah, there's just you can't do anything
Yep.
without your health. So, yeah, well said, Lisa. I'm glad you chimed in there. That's really, really good. Let's go over this long-term vision and commitment. I'm going to discuss the importance of a clear vision, long-term commitment, and the potential for growth. And then if you could cover the value of patience, steady growth, and the flexibility to pivot based on insight from what you got going
Well, I
on.
think that kind of falls in line with what I was saying at the first, right? Like you're talking about like you're kind of testing the waters in a sense, right? Is that kind of where you're going with that?
Right. That's kind of what I'd like to hear from you, though, in your opinion, is it's like market validation and feedback. You're testing
Yeah.
that, right? You're moving slower and there's patience and steady growth, right? You got to be pretty chill. It's not going to just drop in your lap,
Right.
right? So you have to know what you really want. You can't just be like, well, I'm going to try, and I see this all the time, and I know you do too, Lisa's. Oh, I'm going to try affiliate marketing. Oh, I'm going to try real estate investing. Oh, I'm going to, and we talk to students like that. Oh, I've already signed up for 7 mentorships, and it's like, okay, well, you're certainly not clear on what you want. You got to do that homework first. I mean, granted, you learn quickly when you buy a course and you realize that's not what I want to do, right?
Well, I
But
think that's just it though, is
essentially,
sometimes you do have to just go in to see, what you do and don't want. Like you don't always know until you try.
yeah. Well, we learned that the hard way when we tried to live out of the country in Costa Rica. I remember I'm like, I thought I just loved to live on the beach forever. And then it was like, wow, we've been here, seems like forever. Like maybe we should, and it's not what you thought it was. But I would have always dreamed and thought that's what I wanted. I would have died with that dream. But I was able to find out that's not actually my dream, right? And I think that's really, really powerful. So don't be afraid to take chances, guys, on that type of stuff as well. There is value in it, is what you're saying, right, Lise?
Yeah.
Like there's value in that,
Hmm.
those failures, essentially. So don't rule. Now you know don't that isn't what you want to do, and you wouldn't wonder, oh, I if I would have started that affiliate market, I would have been, you don't know. Let me cover the importance of a clear vision. Is like and I'm going to use a real estate analogy, guys. I apologize, but they're coming at you. We do a lot of real estate investing too. So, but one of the principles is like the way I learn it and I teach it too in our Steal Your Life Back principles is if you're going to flip a house, you need to know if you're going to do the renovations, if it's going to be a resale on the market, retail market, or if it's going to be a rental. Why do you need to decide that up front? Because when I go to buy countertops, am I buying, solid surface countertops for a rental, or am I buying, for mica? Am I buying a used fridge, or am I buying a brand new stainless steel, appliance set? What am I doing? I can't teeter totter and be on the fence about those decisions because I'll I won't know what to do when the moment comes. I will be wasting time trying to decide, hey, should I or should I? If I decide up front like what I'm really after, I can make decisions quick. Like, no, this is what we do. It's a rental. These are the rules. This is what we do. This is if it's a retail flip, that lease, brand new appliances is usually one of those things that's like a total kicker. If people walk into a remodel and there's like used appliances but everything else is new, it's still people don't like that touching other people's fridges for some reason when it comes or whatever when it comes to like these properties. It's what do they call it, new suit old pair of shoes or something. Like it looks weird. But anyway, you got to know where you're going, long-term vision. Here's how it was told to me. It's not your goals, it's the goal of your goal. So once you achieve the goal, what does that goal give you? So I know that sounds weird, but the idea is like, say you want the successful online remote bookkeeping business, right? Like how we've helped people do these, and they get there, and then it's like, what is it that goal gives you? Oh, well, it gives me more time with my family, and it gives me the resources to do blank, 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 right? So it's the goal of the goal. That's how you find your long term vision. The goal of the goal, and the vehicle then just becomes online, remote bookkeeping or, affiliate marketing or whatever it is that you are doing to create that income. And then it helps you make decisions, right? Because if that's not going to give you enough money, well, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. Or if it's not going to give you the time you want, or if it doesn't align with the thing you want, right? Or the goal of the goal, now you know don't do it. Because if you want to travel, it has to be a special thing, and it has to align. And we've definitely done our fair share of traveling, as you guys probably see through a lot of our Instagram stuff. But anyway, let's move to work life balance. I think this would be a nice time to transition to this, and personal growth. So you touched on this a little bit, Lise, by bringing health into that, which was awesome. I'm going to talk about the challenges of work-life balance when fully committed to strategies, like when you're really, really pushing on your business. And this is what Lisa was talking about. But I'd also like to highlight the difference between like personal time and ensuring that you're getting to your business and your side hustle too, right? You can't burn the candle on both ends. You won't survive. It's not sustainable, right? What's your take on that, Lise?
Well, my take is that I definitely think it's almost not even work-life balance because I believe that life should actually, the scale should be higher on the life side. So I think,
Oh, you're quite the
your
opposite.
life is way
Yeah.
more
Okay.
important than your work should ever be. I think maybe I said that opposite. And the scale should be tipped in the,
No, no, yeah, they should be shifted. Most people right now, work consumes them, and that's what they're so
yeah.
pissed
Well, and
off
then it's
about,
all about,
right?
the work-life balance, but it's like, no, I think it should be more, maybe 75% life and 25% work. Because if your life
That's
is put
right. Let's
together,
give it up. Woo! I
your
like it.
work is going to just be that much more fruitful no matter what it is you're doing. So, but I mean,
Right.
with that said, when you're starting a new project or a side hustle or going all in, like, I mean, you've really got to put in some time and effort. So it's really hard to get that, and even to get a
Mm-hmm.
work-life balance is hard.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, again, it's all about those priorities. So, make yourself a priority first. And part of that
Do
can
you,
be like, a new business or whatever, because obviously you've got to have money. But yeah, like really taking care of yourself because mentally and everything, you've got to be at the top of your game to be able to pull this off.
Sure. Yeah, mentally and physically. And sometimes you can build your business. You have a unique message. Everybody is a unique creature. I don't care which way you spin it. And I think that's what's so beautiful about all these online courses coming out right now is people are taking their uniqueness and like sort of exploiting it, and you're getting access to so much really creative stuff that was very corporatized before. But where I'd like to validate what you're saying, Lisa, is with all this going on right now, you creating that balance, you have to think of it when you're thinking of the goal. And that will go back to what we talked about before, that long term vision. Make sure your long term vision also has that perfect version of you healthy too, right? Don't take your health out of the equation in that long term goal. Like, okay, I might get there, but then I'm going to be 40 pounds overweight, which I experienced personally. I took way too much time and I was doing a lot of creative, and I was obviously in the office a lot, and I put on weight, and I'm like, this isn't the result I wanted. I got the other result, and I sacrificed something else that was really important to me. Then I didn't, I don't feel happy. I don't feel like, oh, I'm winning. I feel like I lost. Right. And so you have to keep that in mind. And everybody's different, but for me, that was a loss, even though I did make a lot of headway, and I ended up turning, double my income from the year before. But I gained, weight, and I was like, I'm not happy with these results. Moving forward, I need to do exactly what you said, right? Like that 70-30 or whatever it is, 60-40, even 50-50. I think that's why people say work life balance, because they're already so far tipped the other direction that, good Lord, if we get 50-50, we're happy,
Right.
right? Don't you
Oh yeah.
think? Even though what you're proposing is totally valid, these are huge challenges for whether you're going all in or side hustle, but just equate that into your picture.
Well, and
So
that's what I think, if you do the side hustle, you're validating that, whatever it is you're doing will work with the work-life balance that you want. You know what
ah,
I mean? Because
right.
sometimes
So
you
if you
don't know
start
what all it's
now,
going to take
I like that.
before you actually do it. So you might just do something and then realize, oh wow, that's, like for me, for example, like, I went to school and I was going to be a broadcast journalist, and then I got in pretty deep, and then I realized I'm like, you know what, like if I'm good at the job, which obviously I want it to be good, then that means I'm
Mm-hmm.
working the night shift, and like these hours that like I'm like, no, I that's not what I wanted.
And they call you at all hours of the night. You got to go get this story
Hmm.
and get the crew together. And
Yeah,
yeah, right. And move around. Different states have different opportunities. Oh, we have to move to Georgia
right.
and there's an opportunity there I want to take. And you're just dragging all yourself. And that's not what you wanted to sign up for. Although you wanted to be in journalism, which now you get to write and be creative on the same level, but it aligns with with the kind of life you want to
Yeah,
live. That's where you're getting with that, right?
exactly.
Yeah. That is cool. And I like that you said that. That just really put, set me back. So if you guys want to take note, I'm going to recap for you. This was powerful. No matter, I mean, she used it on Team Side Hustle, but I'm going to steal it for 100% all in too. The thing is, developing that, least that was so beautifully said, is that if it's not working right now, it's not going to it's not going to fit your long term vision because it's not. Make it work now. Create the habits now. And if it works now, and actually either it'll be a failure while you hold on to your health and wellness, and or it won't be. But if you can pull it off, that's really what you want. You don't want to just do a trade-off and sacrifice your health like I did, right? You want to develop it as you go and make it a reality in its fullest, not want like I'll take that without this. And then you're still making concessions, right? Which is what you're trying to avoid. You're trying to build the perfect life of purpose, right?
Well, and
So, and I
building your
think
dream
I was
life.
actually, yeah, we're
I mean,
just,
because
you
why do
should
it
be.
if you're not building your dream life? Like, what's the point? I think,
Well, you have your whole life to build your dream life.
yeah. Well, I think, some people go into, like the one former client of mine that just sold their business and the new owners bought into this business where, they're just so, and I'm talking about the landscape maintenance one,
Mm-hmm.
they're just so busy, 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 busy. And it's like, who signs up for that? Or like, it's like, oh yeah, I want to own my own business, but that's not life.
That's a very good business, makes six figures, but who wants to just be busy all the time
Exactly.
and be consumed by the business,
Hmm.
right? Yeah, you got to be careful. And being rich, as Lisa and I feel like we've come to this place, which I've sort of coined historically as like minimalist millionaires, which is where like where you find this balance where you kind of can just do whatever you want and whenever you want. But okay, at that point, right? Do you need to make more money? You might need to make a little bit more, but not a lot more, right? It's not going to dramatically change your life. And statistically, and now with inflation, it's changed, but I think it's once you make $75,000, there's this Harvard study or somewhere did the study, you and I read about it, that you don't get any happier.
Hmm.
So now with inflation, it's probably 25% inflation. We're probably 100K after 100K, you could make 200K, 300K. Pretty soon, you're like, okay, well, what am I going to do with all this money? Can't even spend it, right? And if I do, it just gets more and more absurd, right? And then, of course, the more wealthy you get, the more you find your haters, which you guys will find that soon here in your entrepreneur journey. Let's see, what do we got to cover? I wish we had you guys live. It'd be really cool to get some comments right now. But if you have some, comment below. I'd like to revisit this again sometime, Lise, and throw these t-shirts back on, maybe in another topic. Maybe if we get enough comments on this or people asking questions, we can combat those, throw these shirts back on and do another episode for the same way. I think it'd be really fun and really help people, whether they're deciding to go one way or the other. Remember, I have a program where I teach people how to go all in, and it does involve a lot of physical sacrifice, like physically removing stuff from your space, physically creating time, money, and mental clarity so that you can go all in. I'm not just saying go all in. There is something else you need to do, but it does take sacrifice. Anyway, I do teach that. And Lisa, obviously, if you want to learn more from her on her principles on side hustle, first of all, she lived it. It worked out for her and it's worked out for so many people. Anyway, hopefully we've created some perspective and we've showed you the balance between the two and that they sort of are married in some ways and sort of not in others. And hopefully you guys as listeners are going to make an informed decision moving forward, but do something, people. Don't do nothing, right? Those couple hours we talked about, do those couple hours. You've got to start. Just start. And you're going to have to fail too. Trust me, you have to fail at least 3 or 4 times. Otherwise, you just don't know what you want. You're not going to pick the thing right away. Some of you might get lucky, but so far, Lisa and I've done numerous things that were like, no, that's not going to work out. Cut the cord and then just move on. Literally take a loss because it's like, why Lisa said it best, why pursue it if it isn't your dream life? You have to go after the dreams, people. Why are you making concessions? In the end, you're going to know you made a concession. Am I right, Lise?
Oh yeah.
When you're laying on that deathbed, you're going to go, you know what? I made all these concessions. I probably shouldn't have. I probably should have just went for it. What the piss did I have to lose, right?
Hmm.
So just go for it. So what? So what? Like what one of the things that's really kind of brought come to our space recently is when we travel and like the way that we go after our lives. And I was sharing this with Lisa, is that experience is the currency of your soul, right? That's what you're dying with. That's the only thing you're taking with you, is that. You're not, none of this other stuff is coming with you. So go be the best version of yourself. Express all the things that are here with you on this planet, in this world that we all live in and share together. That's the whole point of being an entrepreneur. It's not about just like piggybacking on something, it's about being the authentic version of yourself and monetizing that. And it's so easy nowadays. It wasn't this easy 10 years ago, was it, Lise, when we were first working on some of this stuff?
Hmm.
None of the platforms existed. The whole idea didn't exist. And we actually luckily matured like with how everything's developed now. And so we got really, really lucky that we'd already been working on it for so long. But you guys got to get started and do it. And anyway, anything we can do to help, please comment. And thank you so much for always listening, coming to us every Friday. We drop episodes, and this one has been probably one of my funnest, hanging out with my wifey, my ride or die, and it's cool getting these perspectives for you guys. And thanks for being here. But anyway, over and out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget our Rebel Yell, Steal Your Life Back, which is all built around removing all those distractions from your space so that you can fire your boss and ultimately live a life full of purpose, or build a life full of service. Either one you want to do, you're in the right place if that's where you're going, because that's where we're going. And thanks for hanging out with us. All right. See you guys later. Until next Friday.